Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And as always, I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the healing, the blessings, and the wisdom from the universe. So, the topic for this particular um, video today on Friday, March the 1st, 2019. Um, I'm moved by different things that I see in the news and so forth, and trends and things like that. And so my commentary as a shaman in training is, what pops out to me? What are the key things that keep showing up? And I've noticed this for quite a while. Hello, Pamela. Good to see you. Um, I noticed that, and we've all noticed this. I don't know, for the last 5, 6, 7, maybe 10, 12 years, it's been building. And it seems like everything is hate now. Well, I hate Trump's speech. Well, I hate the Democrats. Well, I hate what's going on in Venezuela. Well, I hate, hate, hate. Everything is hate, hate, hate. And racism is always brought in. And there are times when somebody, in theater, now I've discussed this before, and this is just an example. But back in the early days of theater, blackface was like common. They used charcoal to cover their face, and then there were different things that were used, and it was to portray a different character, you know. And so, oh my God, though, if somebody speaks about doing something in blackface, it's automatically racist. And I'm like, wait, you got to stop with this, please. And Al Jolson back in the day when he sang his songs and did his Mammy, I'm from Alabama and Mammy, Mammy, and did it in blackface. You didn't hear a lot of black people raising up against it. But back then, I got to say, things were different, in the black community. Considering the blacks didn't even really get a chance to vote until in the 60s from President Johnson. But anyway, with that said, though, in my lifetime, I lived during the 60s and Martin Luther King and everybody being this, that, and the other thing, and people were literally on the streets getting beat up, getting killed, peaceful riots, get turning into, bloodbaths. It was horrible. I remember in 1970 that there was an incident in downtown Tampa, and the police made it up that there was this big riot. And what it was a concert for the young folks in Tampa. It was an organized group. People paid to get in and out of this thing. Paid to get out. Yeah, when the police arrested them. But somebody smoked a joint. Oh my God! In 1970 or maybe it was 71. But it might have been 71. But anyway, to the point though, they started arresting everybody, whether they had weed on them or not. And that was not necessarily in Tampa back in those days. If you smelled weed, a lot of times it was somebody and oregano. It was just different back then. But to the point, though, the police nabbed it as a minor riot. And the police are the ones that started it. But to my point in that, I've been involved in things in my lifetime where the other side makes it out to be something that it really wasn't. And I remember getting pulled, shoved, and almost billy clubbed by this one cop because I wouldn't stop. And I was like, but everybody was leaving. It wasn't like I was the only one. He just reached out and grabbed me because I just happened to walk by him. And there was this great big dude, this guy was like 6'5". He was a mountain, and he just literally grabbed the cop's arm and grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. And if any of y'all know what back in the day, there were these small foreign cars called Simcas. Oh my God, they ran forever on a gallon of gas and little boxy things. And this guy had a Simca, which wasn't very big, and he was as big as the car. And he threw me in the back seat, and he got in the front, and we drove off. And I'm like, I don't even know this guy, But there was so much mayhem and everything, and all us hippie folks, we weren't trying to start anything. We were just trying to get to our cars and leave because the police told us to break it up. But anyway, but in the Tampa Tribune and everything, and oh my God, it was a big deal, and they wouldn't allow us to rent anymore, and they wouldn't allow. There was an organization in Tampa called the Teens of Tampa, I think it was, and it was an organization to try to keep people off the street, to give young folks some place to go. There was a lot of issues and stuff going on back then, and it was a politically active group that was simply trying to do things good for young people, to provide a place to go, cheap concerts. They had Battle of the Bands and stuff like that. It was great for what it was. And but the thing is that the people, the city managers and so forth, the Tampa didn't like it. So anyway, I'm on to the next thing with this. But in that, what was started was hate. The cops hated anybody with a little bit of long hair, and my hair is down to my navel now. But back in the day, my hair was maybe it touched my shoulders, and I was a long-haired hippie. But things have changed. But they learned to hate anybody that their hair wasn't a crew cut. And I went to Catholic school, and they called them a burr haircut, with a little thingy up here and used a little bit of wax to. Yeah, I was one of them kids, and my ears stuck out about a mile, by the way. But anyway, the idea, though, that you could just look at somebody and instantly hate them. Oh, this person talked about blackface. What? I've been in some conversation and have discussed some things. I said in one video, for example, I really do love Negro spirituals, and the way the type of. I've been in prison, so I've worked around some folks, and I've been outside and worked on chain gangs kind of deal, and there is something spiritual about it. And so I was trying to remark about how much I liked Negro spirituals, and that how spiritual they were for me. There was a certain cadence, and people were like, "Oh my God, he said Negro spiritual," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, oh stop it, please, ye of closed mind," kind of thing. And it's like, and people are just get triggered with the simplest of things. Right, Pamela, it's not easy in these times. You really have to work at it, absolutely. And the thing is we shouldn't have to work at it. But so I'm wondering, with all these, since 9/11, basically, so much has changed. We were taught to hate the Iraqis, and we were taught to hate these people, and we were taught to hate this thing. We were taught to hate that thing. And we were taught to hate each other, through the Obama administration. If you weren't LGBTQ RSPST, with all the transgender stuff, oh my God, if you spoke against it or, didn't quite agree with it. I mean, now I have relatives of mine who are gay, so it doesn't bother me, but they don't go around and do a lot of flouncing and douching and try, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. No, they just are who they are. And so, but I've heard, I've had people say, well, wow, you must be a homophobe. I'm sorry, but, I'm not going to speak about my relatives and who they are, but that's not the point. I don't care. It's how you act as a person that matters. But if you're going to go around throwing hate everywhere you go, if you've already got a preconceived notion of something, and that in that you invoke hate everywhere you go. Now, I got to say that at a certain point several years ago, I got caught up in it. I'm not going to lie, but I was on medication. Not an excuse, but there were things that kept me riled up, if you will, and kept me from being who I truly was because of all the pharmaceuticals and things that I was legally taking. But that I had no idea how much they were affecting my emotions and my perception of things. And most of all, I believe, was the trigger effect. So I see people who are on certain medications that I used to be on, and I see them like pop a fuse, in a couple of seconds. And I go, you know what? I used to do that. I used to be on that same drug. And one of the side effects was me popping my big fat mouth off about something. And when I go back and look at some of these things, I was going to erase some of my earlier videos. And I was like, no, I want to leave them up there. Well, it's not hurting anything really. But to the point, though, I look back and go, wow, I've changed since I started doing these videos. I've changed inside. I've have I changed my opinion of the world? Yes. Because several years ago, I was just convinced that we were all going to die. I hated everything that the government was doing. Hated everything that other people did. I hated the fact that people weren't aware, red pill, blue pill, who gives a whatever, awoke, not awoke, libtard, stupid, Republican, idiot. There you go. But the thing is that rather than look at the simple fact that, wait a minute, what we probably all agree on for all those haters out there is that there's something that we don't like. Something is out of place. But with all the buildup of hate since 9/11, I think society is just like, instead of, well, that's not my cup of tea, it has now become, I hate that. When years ago we might have looked something and went, now, oh, I hate that. Because everybody else does, oh, look at them spandex pants. I hate that. Well, I had to go through this myself in learning about my own anger, where is my anger coming from, and all the shadow work that I did myself. But with that said, though, one of the things that I had to understand, and I did a video about this a few days ago or something, but anyway, where I was relating in that, we've lost our faith in just everything. We've lost trust in each other. We've lost faith in our government and all the way down the line. Pharmaceuticals, and what has come out of all of this is just hate. Well, I don't agree with you, therefore I hate you. Why can't we just leave it at, I don't agree with you? But there's there has to be this other thing in there. I disagree with you, and therefore, because I do, then I hate you. I hate your opinion. I hate just using the word, but because it brings hate with it, kind of thing. And so I was going to name this thing, do you hate? And what hate is doing to our society. But I figured, but to the point though, I just look through the Facebook things. I look at the memes people are putting out there. And I think we should disagree. I'm not saying we should all be lackadaisical and just sit on our hands and do nothing. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that we should have normal discourse. We should talk to one another. Let's have a conversation instead of, I hate you, before this conversation even starts. Well, do you know me? Well, no, but you got long hair and a beard and you're missing teeth and you're old. And therefore, I hate you for who you, all right, get over it. I am, why can't you? But the thing is that how I used to react to things like that, like, well, damn, if you hate me, then I must hate you back. And I kind of sort of took that approach. But again, I was on medications and things and had head injuries. But during my recalling who I really am as as a spirit inside, I realized I don't like that hate. I don't want to hate anybody or anything. I hate the fact that I have to think about hate. Now, so I started looking at it in my, if you've hung out with me at all, you get where I'm coming with this. I started throwing in, I would like, instead of using the word hate, well, I dislike it. Well, that's effed up. Sometimes that's appropriate. But then there are times when I'm disgruntled. So I started looking for synonyms, something that I could use in place of that would mean a similar thing. And I'm like, well, hate is hate. But to the point, though, I realized that, and I spoke about this in another video, And I kind of feel bad about it, but we've all seen somebody that's way overweight in spandex in Walmart. And I just, personally, I think there ought to be a law. But at the same point, it's like, but who am I to judge? And that's what it boils down to. Well, I hate that woman for wearing that well, hang on here. Can I just be disgruntled? And now I've had to really swap things around, because if you're gonna walk the talk, if you're gonna talk the talk, then you got to walk the walk. And so if I'm going to have a conversation about things, and I'm not just going to talk about it and then not do it, that would be stupid on my part, and for you guys. So with that said, I think to myself, you know what? And now when I see things that are just like so outrageous and like I would rather see public nudity than some of these other things, but that's just my own personal opinion. Um, but my point to that is that so somebody else's taste is different than mine. So someone wears spandex into Walmart. Okay. Do I think it's ludicrous and what? Well, I used to. Now, my point about this is that I just simply changed how I viewed it. It's their choice. Would I do it? Not on your life. Did they do it? Okie dokie. It's not against any particular law. I might not really like it, but that's beside the point. It's not as a human being, as a spirit guide, as my own me being a shaman in training. I don't have the right to judge people, especially about such frivolous things as that. So that brings up hate. Well, if I don't like it, then it grows into hate. I hate that woman because she wore that. That's hateful right there. Look at what she does. And she drags her little children along. And oh my God, that's disgraceful. And don't you just hate that? And I mean, I was listening to people say this out loud in the Walmart that day. And I know it's way too memorable, but it was a pivotal point in my own thinking of things. I ain't got no right making any judgment calls about this person. That's what it boiled down to. I didn't like it, thought it was obscene, but there are other things that could be just as obscene to someone else. Okay, let's wrap that point up too. When I started looking at it, I was like, well, ain't that interesting? Well, down here in the South, there's a long-standing joke. The old women after church would sit around and sip their tea or have coffee and a cookie or whatever, a biscuit. And they would talk about, did you see Miss Agnes in church today? Did you see that purple hat that she wore? Oh, if she only knew how bad that looked. Bless her heart. So it was all right. And I can't think of the guy that did the redneck jokes all the time, but anyway, the whole idea is that if you added bless her heart or bless his little heart or whatever at the end of whatever dig you were giving them, well, that dress was way too short, bless her heart. Or when's the last time she had a new pair of shoes? Oh, bless her heart. So, but the thing is they still got their dig in, but it was bless her heart. So, and this still goes on, that ain't dead by a long shot. Now, but what that is that really in polite circles, that's really promoting hate. Because, well, she shouldn't have wore that hat to church, bless her heart. But they're making judgment calls. So these little old ladies who think, well, it's okay because I said bless her heart, they're making all these judgments and things and gossiping and doing all these things. And wait a minute, what gives you guys the right, or gals, or whomever? What gives you all the right to do this? You are promoting hate. You're promoting whispering behind people's back. Did you notice her the other day, or him, or whatever? I mean, and that in itself keeps things kind of going in the hate and distrust and everything like that. So it's like, for me as a person, I look at stuff and go, well, I wouldn't do that. Or bless their heart, but as far as making a judgment call on whatever it is, color, breed, that, doesn't matter. It's like, well, if that's what you want to do and it's not hurting anyone else and it's within the law, okie dokie, you know. But the biggest thing is I might not like it, and that's my choice. I have a free will. It's what I do with my choice. My choice is, well, I hate that. Or my choice is, isn't that interesting? I don't think I would do that personally, but ain't that interesting? So, but when I look around the world, and I'm always perusing headlines and looking at things, YouTube and the web and everything, keeping up with the headlines and stuff as I do as a watchman. And I look around and it's like I think to myself, and I was going to do a separate video about this, but the title would have given it away. But I'll bring it up in this, and that is like mainstream media. They talk about terrorists and they talk about this group and that group. And I think to myself, of all the people or groups or whatever on this planet, who is more responsible for the hate? And I got to say, it's the media, the mainstream media, because they're always poking. Well, Trump did this and I didn't do that, and Cohen, and you know the drill. It's so frivolous anymore. It's like, I don't even want to make commentary on it because we're going right back. We're cycling right back through this thing. They're trying to pump everybody up. Come on, let's keep the hate going. Let's keep this negative attitude going. I'm saying this about the nasties. Those guys need the loosh. They need the fear from us. They need that hate. Oh, let's put out another meme. Let's do something else. Let's blah, 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 blah. Ain't it time we stop this stuff? We can still dislike something, but do we have to hate it? I mean, that's the biggest point. We don't have to agree with it. We can just simply disagree with it and leave it at that. We don't have to go into, oh, I hate that. And there are people who will, and you know them, and I used to be one of them, but I was usually like really pissed at Hillary or something like that, or something in the news that was just obviously blatantly a lie. If you'd watched what I watched and you walk away with it, go, wait a minute, NBC said this, and this, but I watched the speech and that ain't what he said. And I don't understand why people are all angry and mad and jumping up and down. Just saying. So these folks are promoting hate. Now we got to, this is fear porn. All right. But to that point, it's also hate porn. And I don't personally, I don't think people understand how serious the effect has become. Because the more I look out there, I mean, I see a lot of people who are waking up, and in their waking up, they're understanding I can disagree with these people, but do I have to become vehemently and violently hateful towards them or whatever? No. There is another way. Sure, let's agree to disagree. I'm all for that. I was on the debate team. I love debate. But the thing is that if you're going to scream at me and call me a libtard or some MAGA goof off or old hippie something, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. We were always told that as kids. And I think back now, there's been times when people have called me ridiculous. Fine, that's your opinion. I'm not here to try to be glamorous. I'm here to have a conversation with you folks about how do you view the world? And so, the folks just want to keep piling this hate on. Now, if you watched my videos before, I'm still on this. I think we can change things. I'm 100%. And there are a lot of folks out there, which is, let me share this with you. There's some folks out there who are like Christian and the love of God and everything. But when I make, have made statements like, love can conquer all if we put our focus in the right direction, for example. And now there are those folks out there who are going to go, oh, love can't conquer all. That's just stupid. And you're a moron for thinking about it. But yet they'll pull their Bible out and read a verse from the Bible. And I go, there's a disconnect here somewhere with these people, because they're using their Bible, but at the same time, they're telling me that love can't conquer all. Now, if we do things in a loving way, if we disagree with someone, but we do it in a loving way without being hateful and throwing rocks and wanting to shoot each other, what's wrong with that? And you say that's stupid, but that's what's wrong with us. We don't do anything in a loving manner. If somebody is a flat earther, I don't want to go into it, but if they're a flat earther, I still love them. I get where they're coming from. I see some of these things, but I'm sorry, I'm a glober. You'll just not. I'll have to go out into outer space and look down and see that thing as a disc before I'll believe it. But anyway, but at the same point, I still love them. We can have discourse about it. I think it's pointless and don't go there. But I'm not going to diss them or throw any hate on them. But they will damn sure throw hate on any of us who believe in the round earth or a globe. Or for me, believing that there is a plasma sun inside a hollow earth. Okay, disagree with me, but do you have to throw hate at me? Well, so we can still have discourse. We can still have differences of opinion. I like red, you like blue, they like green, and somebody likes to pee. I'm sorry, I just have to say it. This baby shit green thing for wallpaper or whatever. What? You like that? Okie dokie. It looks like pea green soup that somebody threw up. But anyway, that's your opinion if that's what you want. But I'm not going to hate them for it. That's just, everybody likes different things or different shades. That's why there's a zillion colors when you go into a paint store. Anyway. So one person's love is another person's hate. Or how about we just stop using the word? Unless we really hate something. Do I hate the folks that kill babies? Yes, I hate them. Do I, I hate Francis, the fake Pope in the Vatican. I kind of hate that guy. But there's a lot of reasoning behind it. Now, do I hate everybody in the church? No. Do I hate what the church has done? And I have to use the word hate because nothing else describes it, because of my, the priest pedophilia, my history, and all that I've learned in the Catholic Church. But with that said, it's that I don't hate the people who still go. I'm disgruntled that they still support such an organization, but I don't hate them. But at the same time, somebody that would kill in cold blood, and the fact that some of these, I discussed it before in, when POTUS had his State of the Union address, and he was talking about, limiting late-term abortions. And most of the women on the Democratic side, all those white shirted ladies, most of them stayed seated. They didn't even clap. And I've talked about this before, but in that, they've just passed a bill about some kind of late-term abortion thing with babies or something. And it's like, what? And they're women, Democratic women. Do I hate them? Well, I got to say, I'm a little borderline, because if you're a mother, then why would you allow something like that? I mean, I just don't get it. So, but to the point, though, it's like, well, it's my body and I can do what I want. Well, ain't 3 months enough? That's to me is like, and that's cutting it. But, my second wife, she had problems with our son, and they had to do emergency, C-section because his head was too big to come out. And they back in 74, it was like, well, they just didn't have the instruments they do now. They would have known way before now what things are versus back then anyway. But to the point, they had to rush her in and do surgery at 11:30 at night. And my son was born shortly after that. But, that was a very traumatic event for me and for her. But the thing is that, and if they had waited any longer, my son's life would have been in danger. And the fact that they had waited as long as they did um, gave my wife issues. After we were divorced, she developed cervical cancer, something anyway. But they didn't put her insides back together right, and something was twisted, and it caused female problems for a long time. She had to go back in and have corrective surgery. But to the point, the thing is, though, that I understand that stuff can happen and in emergencies and situations. But to make it a law that, well, you can just, pop one out and then stab it if you want. If you don't want it, it's like, well, I don't want it. Don't want to send it to an orphanage. Let's kill it and then sell it for baby parts or feed it to the Satanist or whatever. To me, I could see where I could hate that, and I could hate the people who are doing it. They've got some kind of nefarious means. So to have a mind that conjures up that kind of stuff at all, uh, they kind of fall in my hate category. But to this point, I don't go around all day long going, well, I hate what they do. I hate this, but I hate that, because I'm feeding into that negative energy. My brain knows I hate them, and that's enough. I mean, I'm talking about it now, but in my brain, I don't have to mull it over. I don't have to like watch 3 or 4 more videos or whatever to find out if I'm going to change my mind or if I'm going to hate them anymore. No, I just hate it. That's it. When I have a conversation, I will say I hate what those folks are doing. I think it's, criminal, and they're passing laws to make it so it's legal. I hate that. I do, but that's as far as I'm going to go. Now, but am I going to try to push the hate monger on it? No, I'm having this discussion right now to say, I don't like it. My opinion, if y'all vote on it, but I still don't make it right to me. But I'm not trying to promote the hate. I'm trying to promote that each of us has a free will to choose what we do. And we can choose to write our senator and go, you voted for that crap? I ain't voting for you again. And I'm telling all my friends, you what? We need to really become involved. If you hate something, then go tell your senator, your representative, and stay on their rear end. You want to change something? Then discuss it in a non-hateful manner. Because, I myself, I used to do it. Okay. I was holler, scream. I mean, even when I wasn't trying to be, my family lineage has, if you'd have heard my mother before she died, she was like, well, come on, everybody, come in for dinner. And, that she was that loud. She was really loud, but she didn't have it. I don't know if the woman could whisper. I'm just saying, but I'm sorry for making the audio peak out there, but I realized that, in order to get somebody's attention, sometimes you just have to have a good discussion. You got to calm them down. Let them throw their hate out there. Okie dokie. Now, can we talk? I can still get emotional over something, but I keep my emotions in check. Doesn't mean that I can't become emotional in a heartbeat if you piss me off. It's that I decided that I'm in control of this stuff. You want to start with the hate? Okay. And you could build me up to a fever pitch to where I'll grab my cane and whack you one if you need to. But, I'm really kind of teasing with that, but I've been in some situations where somebody wanted to haul off and hit me and is like, let me grab my cane, a little self-defense here for an old man. But, and don't mess with me and my cane. Just saying. I have ninja moves. But I'm a great grandfather, so I'm a ninja great grandpa with a cane, just don't mess with me. I'm joking, but I'm not. Don't mess with me in my cave. Anyway, um, because I just hate that. Thought I'd throw that in there. But I think you pretty much get my drift. And I put in racism into the title because even during President Obama, um, race got to be more of an issue than it was sometimes in the 60s. Now, I was in town the other day at the store, and there are a lot of black folks that live near Megs and in the community and so forth. And I'm not saying that as trying to be some kind of racist. I'm white, they're black, that's it. Um, but with all the, excuse me, I might be the only white boy, and with all the African American black, I just prefer black, please. But I mean that in honest respect. Um, that there are nothing but black folks in the store. I'm not scared. I don't have a gun or anything like that. But all these people are kind. And it's like we all grow up down here in the South. So I look at racism and people are like, well, every people are racist everywhere. No, they're not. If anything, down here in the deep South is where like racism should really, because these folks were leftover slaves. I mean, down there at Pebble Hill Plantation, they still have the slave houses out on the edges. Some of these small towns still have the shotgun houses, the row houses, where all the Negroes used to stay. And I mean that with respect now. But they use the other N word, but I'm not going there. But to the point though, on the grand scale, they throw up this racism thing. When if anybody should be pissed off, it should be some of these the black Southerners. Just saying. If they were going to hold a grudge, shouldn't they be holding a grudge against us white folk? No. Down here in the South, it's like there are mixed marriages, there are mixed dating, and I mean white women and white men. I mean, it doesn't matter. And it's like I never thought that it would become I don't want to use the word commonplace, but more acceptable, I guess, because down here in the South, and up and well, even into the 60s, there was still lynching going on. Horrible to think of, but it's true. Now, not necessarily public lynchings, but lynchings still existed. Probably still happens, but not near what it was back in the day. And when the KKK was very loud and strong. Now, I got to mention this too. Even though you don't hear about the KKK, oh, it's alive and well. It's here in the South. That's all I'm going to say. I've spoke about it before, but there's some. It's not necessarily if you want to hang out with black folk, that's up to you. But I'm white and I'm proud, and I would just rather not. Okay, but secretly they all meet around the campfire and go coon hunting, and I mean for raccoons, not the other derogatory, but um, there is racism, but it ain't near as open. Now, if um, the black community tried to force something, you would see these folks come out of the woodwork. And I don't necessarily mean kill them or whatever, but you'd hear about it. But so even down here in the South, this racism bait click thing, I don't see it. I mean, you know, as I traveled around as a puppeteer and a storyteller, blacks, whites, Native American, Mexican, and I mean, and Asian as well. But down here in the South, there's not as much of an Asian population as other parts of the country, although there is. But I look around and I go, but wait a minute, where is all this hate? There's a show enough white kid sitting beside a show enough black kid and a show enough Mexican, all in the front row, watch side by side, touching one another, and while they do a puppet show. The mamas and the papas ain't fighting in the background. The kids aren't arguing. So where is the racism? I absolutely believe it's mostly a construct. Now, I know there are white people who hate black people, but they still have black friends. And I know black people who hate some white people, but they don't necessarily hate all whites. Now, I agree with a lot of the blacks in that, they were given opportunities, but the opportunities came with a price. And not every person, well, the government gave grants and this, that, and the other thing. But not everybody, even in the black community, they fought really hard to get that extra. And I know folks around here that I've been down here in South Georgia for 45 years. And it's like, I've grown up around some of these people, and some of the old timers like me, they'll stay, some of the black men, if they're speaking to, I don't care how old the white woman is, they'll go, yes, Missy, yes, yes, Missy, yes. And that's how the old slaves talked. That's how you talked when you was on the chain gang. That's how, but the thing is they mean it very respectfully, and they mean it from their heart, but that's the respect. Now they could say it to another black person, but you will especially hear them say it to the white folk. They were trained that way. And I do mean that, because back in the, before they could vote. But anyway, this using racism to me is just like, yeah, there's a section of Tampa that I went back into where we used to, in the 60s, and I think it was sold about 70, 71 or 2, a little store there in Tampa off of 22nd Street in Osborne, I think it was. And I tried to go back down there to just see what it looked like, see if the building was still there. And I realized that it was like south side of Chicago, which is really rough. And I mean, I couldn't even drive down the street because there were hordes of black folk on both sides trying to tip my truck over. Like, what are you doing, white boy? And I was like, my grandfather bought that store. I used to sit on the front porch, and some of you might have went to that store when you were kids. And I might have sat on the front porch and read comic books and shared a knee-high orange drink. But to the point, they have become so racist against any whites. And I don't remember it being that way. I mean, back in the day when there was show enough racism and the race riots and the wars and all that kind of stuff, we weren't fighting amongst ourselves. There were those few. But now racism, there are some folks like, going to the store the other day. I'm not sure if I know any of these people personally, but we pass and repass in the stores over the years. And hey, how are you this evening, my friend? Good, friend. How you doing? And these are black people, and I'm an old white man. Well, why are they? And I mean, they're not doing it to go like, yeah, brother. No, I mean, they're being nice. So I think to myself, I'm really glad I still live down here in the South. And there are those white folks, well, them black folks, they know their place. No, I used to have more black friends than I did white. And I've been invited to family reunions. I've done puppet shows and accepted to be the only white person and 30, 50, a family of 30 or 50 with aunts, uncles, cousins, and kids, and be part of the group and be invited back and and got to know some of these folks, and they're absolutely marvelous. And it's like, they're not being nice because they know their place. I was surrounded by them, and oh my God, they should have kicked my little lily white ass. No, it's like, have a beer, Mr. Dave. Want to toke off a joint? Need a cigarette? Thank you. Blessings. So I've seen things from the inside out. I've hung out with the rich folks and don't want to go there. I'd go rather hang out with, a whole boatload family of Mexican families. Oh my God, they're great. And it's like the fun and the jokes and the this and the that and the food. Oh, same thing with the black folks. I'm sorry, but man, you ain't had collard greens until you've had a show enough older type person who's growed up down here in the South to make collard greens or turnips and mustards. Just saying. You got to have a good cook. And so I'm trying to be, not plagiaristic or anything in this respect, but the thing is, I adore these people. I love them, man. They're other people. Their skin's different. So does that mean I should hate them? There are a lot more white people that I hate. Trust me. A bunch. I got a list, and there might be like 2 people that maybe of color that maybe I disagree with. I mean, so the white paper, if you will, the list of people that would be on my disagreeable list is much longer. So does that make me racist against white people? Well, I'm a hate monger because I got a white people's list, but I don't have a black people's list. Just saying. So who's better or worse at this? But I'm 45 minutes into this. I realize I'm going to be repeating myself on the same thing over and over again, and I don't like to do that, even though I do sometimes. I'm trying to break the habit. But understand that we do have a choice. Even using the word hate draws hate. The overuse of the hate, the word use, and the everything's a hate crime. No, if somebody murders you, does it have to be a hate crime? They murdered you, for God's sakes. There's already a law, but it's a hate crime. You're going to get 2 more years. You're going to get 10 more years on the hate crime. Why does it have to be a hate crime? You see what I'm saying? I mean, we've already got stuff on the books for anything that usually happens, but no, now that you have to use the word hate in there. Hate crime. That was a hate crime. That was a racist hate crime. Hate. So I would just ask you, yourself, your friends, your neighbors, do you need the word unless you really mean it? Not saying don't use it, but should you use it appropriately? I hate Adolf Hitler. Well, he's dead, but, I hate what the Nazis did. Okay, that's a given. I hate peanut brittle ice cream. Thank you, Stephanie. Pamela. Anyway, thank you, Pamela. I was reading your last name, first name. Never mind. My brain's a little twisted today. High energy's been coming in, and boy, it has been really interesting with the high vibrations that are in the backgrounds on the Schumann chart. Just saying. But thank you, Pamela. But the idea of us find another word. Well, I dislike it. I really don't like it. But do we have to use the hate word all the time? And I've got some friends and relatives, and they stay pissed off at the political scene a lot. And I used to be there. But then I realized, and commandment, absolutely. But I realized that, no, I don't like what these people are doing. But do I have to use the hate word? Do I have to throw my hate into the mix that's already full, in my opinion? And the answer from a shaman's point of view is that if you're going to clear your soul, if you're going to clear your energy, if you want to move to the higher level, you got to get rid of this nonsense. You have to put it in terms that I hate cutting my foot wide open and bleeding all over the floor. Okay, I mean, there's all this hate. But the thing is let's use the word when it's really dadgum important. I hate what the Nazis did. I hate the concentration camp thing. I hate what Hitler did. Okay, a lot of other people too, but you get what I'm saying. But to say, well, I hate my neighbor's dog, is it the same? Well, you don't like the barking. Does that mean you hate it? Well, it drives me nuts. But so I'm repeating myself. But to the point, though, there are different layers. Hate should be left for big, giant, nasty things that have happened. And to us or whatever. But to hate the neighbor's dog because he barks or yips, no. Deep. I'm not saying you should like it. I'm just saying, yeah, but does it qualify as being hate? Versus, I really don't like that. Just saying. Because the word hate, the feeling of hate is so great. When we take ourselves out of that equation, we change the equation. When we stop using hate in our remarks, when we change, not necessarily change our opinion, but when we change our tone of voice, the tone of our writing, the tone of our feelings, I still don't like eggplant much. And I really don't like rutabagas. One could say that I hate them, but I'm not going to go on a rutabaga hating campaign. But to the point though, that I used to use the word, I hate them things. Oh, I hate that too. I hate, you see, so we get caught up in the word. It becomes so familiar, we can't use another synonym. There is no other word out there that oh, yes, there is. Because hate should be used for only the vilest of things. Not that you stubbed your toe. Just saying. Or you missed the sale on a new pair of shoes. Just saying. There are different degrees of it. In order to be of higher frequency beings, we must look at these little minor things. This and is sort of kind of part of the shadow work. Because if you're constantly using certain words and things, then inside you got some darkness. It might just be a sliver, but that ain't the point. I go back to the thing about the little old lady sitting around going, well, bless her heart, or bless her pea picking heart. After they just drug the woman through the mud, oh, well, bless her little pea picking heart. That's not the excuse. So because they had they had the hate at the beginning, then they tried to clean it up at the end. But my point to that is that if we just pull ourselves back and go, well, wait a minute, maybe I do use that word too much. Just saying. I'm not asking you to change your opinion, but do you use the word too much? Are we all feeding into this social enigma that literally is spreading the hate? I mean, UFO channels. Oh, one guy's hating on the other guy. And these guys over here is like, well, that's not true. Well, wait a minute. How do you know? You're talking a bunch of bunk too. And, but you're going to throw hate to another UFO person. And then this person's going to hate you back. And this hate. I mean, wait, don't we all? You're both looking for UFOs. Can you stop with the hate crap and go, wait a minute? I might not actually believe what happened, but I'm not going to hate you for it. I've watched a UFO out the south down here many, 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 many times. It was out a couple of nights ago. Haven't seen it the last 2 nights, but it's been really cloudy. But to the point, I can't show you a picture. I don't have a camera to do it. But so you got to take my word for it. Now, whether you believe me or not, well, that's okay. But to the point, there are other people who've seen a similar object looking north from being down around the Tampa area. But anyway, the thing is that I'm not going to hate you for it. If you don't believe me, okay, disagree with me. But do we have to throw the hate in there? So, but there even people who agree with UFOs will hate each other for another reason. I'm like, can you not get along here? This is just plumb stupid. It's silly. It is it is beyond me the hate that gets thrown around over, in some ways, kind of sort of nonsensical. You're believing a UFO and you believe it this, but ne'er the twain should meet. What if you're both right? Just saying. But do you have to hate? I say no. So in my new paradigm, in mine always, I can see the light. I see the tunnel. Many of us are in the tunnel. It's dark all around us. But you know what? I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see it. Because I'm in a tunnel. And if it is a tunnel, not a cave, if it's a tunnel, then there's another end. Unless somebody blocked it, but just think tunnel, and if it's a tunnel, there's an end on one on both sides. You know, so that means there's light at the end of it. And I've also brought up the fact that, as in this hating thing, I think I'm going to do a separate video on it, just to kind of bring people's attention to it. But I fully believe that we're quote in the end times, that we are in the apocalypse, which is the lifting of the veil. We are absolutely 3/4 of the way in. If you read the book and understand the way some of these things are supposed to be, and if you know enough about them, like Vatican and the Seven Hills, and the whore of Babylon is the Catholic Church. The Antichrist is the Pope by definition. So when you understand certain things and you read Revelations, you go, holy crap, we're here now. But Armageddon is different than the apocalypse. Now, the reason I bring this up is because so many people are focused on all the bad stuff. If you read to the end of the book, or Revelations, we will have 1,000 years of peace. But I thought the world was going to come to an end. No, the meek shall inherit the earth. And after all this tribulations, we're going to have 1,000 years of peace. Wait a minute. So why isn't anybody focusing on what the end game is? Yeah, we're going to have all these trials, tribulations. We're already here. But what about the 1,000 years of peace? That's what I think we should all be focused on. We're in the tribulations. We are being tried. We are being lifted up, the veil and things. But so are we looking at the 1,000? My question is, why only 1,000? But I would take. I think the earth would be really cool if there were 1,000 years of no war. Maybe a skirmish here and there, but I mean, basically peace. So why are we only focused on the hatred and the death and the destruction? Because that's what we're taught to do. That is their agenda, not mine. My agenda, excuse me, is 1,000 years of peace. That's my agenda. That's why I'm here. I was told years ago that the reason this old hippie's still on this planet is because I'm going to help I don't know how, but to help put the planet back. And I'm like, okie doke. I love Mother Earth, and Mother Earth knows that. I planted one of the reasons y'all haven't seen me is I've been out working in the garden, and when I get done outside, I was like, boy, I tell you, sometimes I wish I had a pain pill, but ibuprofen just has to be enough. But anyway, I planted okra and squash and more onions, different kinds of peas, some spring peas, the big, snow pea pod type things. Several other things just in the last few days. And my potato plants are doing well, although it's too damn warm out here right now. I got worms in the garden already, and it just is the 1st of March. But anyway, and we got a cold snap coming in a couple of days. It's going to be in the low 30s, so I'm going to have to get the plastic out. Yeah, we are neck deep. But so anyway, and I know you all that watch me and listen to this, we just need to continue to pass it on. We can look at this thing differently. Oh my God, all these horrible things are going on. Yeah, but there are so many people awake to this. So our choice is, well, do I hate everything, or do I go, can I step back from this and just look at the situation and go, well, I'm a little disgruntled over that. Now, killing babies pisses me off, and I hate that. But that's the grand use. That's good for me to use there in that context. So thank you for your time. Wow, I thought 30 minutes was all I could speak on this, but You know me and my rubber mouth that just wants to keep on going. But I think I've made my point uh, over and over again a couple of times. Thank you, Pamela. And to anyone else who listens, watches, and who wants to, care at all about yourselves and the people around you. And yeah, we can be in the crapper right now, but also I can go over to the garden and rinse that crap off and it can become fertilizer. So, different ways of looking at stuff. Thank you, Pamela. Shaman Hawkeye. Thank you very much. All right, so it's officially been at an hour. So I'll end with this lovely. I continue to pray, and I do for each and every one of you, all of 148 or 9 subscribers now. Thank you all very much. I appreciate every single one of you. I do send prayers out to all of you that you will continue to accept and receive the healings, the blessings, and the wisdom of the universe. I continue to pray that you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to receive and accept the healings from the universe. I will continue to pray every day, whether I'm online or not, to pray for all of you that you will continue. And with your success in accepting and receiving the healings and the wisdom and the knowledge and the healing from the universe. So thank you all. From South Georgia, it's a little chilly outside. It's supposed to be in the 40s, which is like really not cold enough. We got fruit trees blooming. I got azalea bushes that are almost in full bloom. Not supposed to be happening by now. We still have 17 days before the last cold frost thingy for our area. But to the point, well, we're here. And by the way, just ended up, climate change is a natural thing. And the best thing we can do is prepare for it. So also don't get caught up in this hype, this green thing. They're going to tax us for what? A volcano going off and the air is dirty? Cut it out. But anyway, they're just trying to wind up our little rubber bands on our little rubber airplanes that they used to make in the old days before they had, radio control. I love you all. Take care. Thank you, Pamela. Everyone else, continue in your prayers and meditations. And just know tomorrow can be a better day, especially when we allow it to be. So from South Georgia, cosmic hugs to everybody. And as we used to say in the old days, TTFN.